wearing leopard skins and carrying a Zulu shield, South Africa's President Jacob Zuma, who is 67, married his fifth wife in a traditional ceremony at his remote homestead of KwaZulu-Natal in 2010. His first wife, whom he married in 1973, was there to see him wed a woman 30 years his junior. His second wife stayed home to prepare the reception. He had two other wives, but he divorced one in 1998 and another committed suicide in 2000. And he is not yet finished. He paid the traditional dowry for his sixth fiancée while still planning his wedding to his sixth wife. But Zuma's respect for tradition is endearing to many South Africans. They say it is more honest than hiding his mistresses and illegitimate children like Western politicians. Back home in Kenya, Mzee Akuku Danger, who hails from Kanyamwa sub-clan, was being buried in his homestead, surrounded by his 43 wives and more than 100 children.
Marafiki zangu wa Amerika lazima niwajiunge vizuri unga, niwapelekee huko hakuna unga. Sijui niende tu Sikizi Ochumi ama Okwara. Okwara ndio vizuri.
The younger generation of polygamists is represented by Mr. Walter Mongare aka Nyambane, one of Kenya's pioneer comedians who started out with the comedy program Ridiculous, which aired in one of Kenya's leading media houses and was just as successful, branching out to be a solo radio presenter and comedian, as well as establish his own band known as the Ultimate Band that would lead him to meet his second wife, Linda Muthama, a contestant in Tusker Project fame. Another young polygamist, Danson Mungatana, a former member of parliament for Garsen constituency in Malindi. He married his second wife, former Miss Kenya Cecilia Mwangi, and has a daughter with her. Cecilia is quoted as saying she would have never accepted to be his second wife had he left his first family.
But I think it's important that you, as the man of the house, inform the rest of your wives that you will agree that you are bringing in another person.
When you marry an African woman, she must know the second one is on the way. The third one is on the way. The fourth one is on the way, Mr. Speaker.
David Muthama, a lawyer with Cargo Muthama and Company Advocates, gives a clear indication on the recently passed Marriage Act 2014 that was passed in March of this year and explains the exact stand of polygamy in the new act.
The issue of passing the Marriage Act was not to address the issue of polygamy or monogamy alone. There are very many issues that were being addressed by passing of this law. The main one was to consolidate and bring sanity in all these other regimes that we had. The Marriage Act did not come into being for purposes of legalizing polygamy. That is not true.
The cases where the first wife has beaten her spouse's maybe second wife when she finds out that what has been going on. And that's violence that should not be tolerated. I've also heard of deaths in families because of this reason.
The Federation of Kenyan Lawyers, FIDA, and CREW, which represent women in the country, were against the Marriage Act, saying that they were never consulted. But Mr. Muthama raised politics in the whole issue.
The Law Reform Commission has gone through the relevant provisions of the law to make sure that stakeholders are involved through their representatives in Parliament. Laws are passed in Parliament by the people's representatives. So, them purporting that they have not been involved or have not been consulted, in my view, amounts to bad faith and pure plain politics.
Just when the Marriage Act was passed this year, the US was reported to showing concern with reports of a probe into it over concerns of infringement of basic human rights. So, does the US have a right to probe the Marriage Act?
Whatever happens in our parliament and in our courts and in our institutions the institutions that we have given mandate as Kenyans, as a sovereign state, is not subject to any other jurisdiction, because the US government has got absolutely no right to repeal any law that has been passed in Kenya as a sovereign state.
Yeah. Christianity condemns polygamy as an offense against the dignity of marriage, insisting that conjugal love between a man and his wife must be mutual and unreserved, undivided and exclusive.
Why men are jittery is because these people want to take our wealth.
Under the new Marriage Act, does the first wife retain her own share of the family's property and other assets when the husband takes in a new wife?
It is provided for that rights shall be equal on a 50-50 basis between these two parties. Okay. During the time of contracting the marriage, during the period when the marriage is on, and during dissolution of the marriage. The issue here is your right, your 50-50 right. Okay. Yes. You discuss about your 50. If another marriage is coming in, what is he entitled to? Your 50, not the other 50.
We talked to a few Kenyans on their views on polygamy.
It can happen. It's okay that way. Confirmed 100% according to my side.
Na economy ya saizi pia had maybe okay, also on perception, maybe we can get more cash when I get another wife.
At the end of it all, does not speak for the woman. You know, we have been put down.
The women also should just try and agree, and they should also swallow what the men wants to undertake.
Get one wife and she fights with you. Get two and they fight for you. Whether or not polygamy is making a comeback amongst young women is a matter of personal preference, and no one should be persecuted or judged for making that decision. It should not be looked at as a backward practice, but as a way of life like any other union between two consenting adults. And perhaps if other countries, especially in the West, embrace this way of life, divorce and separation rates would drop by a great percentage.